So, Elite's a pretty difficult game, and today I want to give you a couple tips to help you through, especially if you're new. But even if you've been playing a little bit, you might learn something you didn't know. At least if it's anything like my last tips video. So, with that said, let's start with a pretty basic tip and then progress into something a little more complicated as we go along in the video. Alright, so this first setting is going to be a graphics setting recommendation. Now, of course, if your system can't handle it, then don't do what I'm about to do. But for those of you that are running pretty powerful systems and you're running the game on like a preset like high or ultra, you may notice that it looks a bit like this. It's very grainy, very weird looking. This is because by default, it's using FSR 1.0, so a pretty old implementation that I don't think is even working right. So over in the graphics settings under the quality tab here, you can see we have our upscaling method. By default, it's the quality setting on FSR 1.0. I would personally, if you, again, can push these pixels, recommend switching this to normal. And this will dramatically increase the clarity of the game. As you can see, if I zoom in, this is way, way clearer than it was with FSR 1 on. You can even go further if you want and try upscaling at 1.25x. That's what I personally do, and I also run this game at 1440p, although right now it's at 1080. As you can see, it is way, way clearer. The lines and edges are way, way better. But of course, like I said, this isn't going to be for everybody. If you are running this game and having a particularly hard time, then maybe don't touch this setting, but you know, it's up to you. Performance tip out of the way. Let's get to the first gameplay tip. All right, so here I am in my nice, shiny, new Corsair, and I am promptly going to crash into this station. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because I need to scratch up my ship pretty bad to demonstrate to you a pretty cool little thing. Notice, I basically just shattered my shield and took some hull damage even. Now, if you are engaging in PvE or in a conflict zone, and hopefully there aren't any players there, or if you're just in a situation where you can reliably get away from being shot at from a while, you can actually get 50% of your shield back basically for free. So I'm going to go over here into my ship tab on the right side panel, and under functions you'll see reboot repair. You're probably familiar with it to some extent. It essentially cannibalizes parts of your ship to heal other parts of your ship. It's pretty straightforward, but you actually right there, I probably should have demonstrated that. You need to put all your pips in systems, in my experience, for this, where you put all of your pips into systems and then reboot repair with no shield. It will come back at 50% as long as you don't take damage. So this isn't really good for doing things like AX, but there we go. 50% shield. Now I have an engineered shield, which means this is pretty significant, to be honest, and is worth a lot in health. Now my shield isn't max or anything like that. I kind of haven't finished it yet, but I'm good to go ahead and rather stupidly crash right back into a station as to no harm for my hull because of this. So there you go. I want to teach you about a pretty cool trick that I learned a long time ago that if you're new, I highly encourage you to try out. And you might not even do this much if you're experienced, because if you're from the era before Super Cruise Assist, you've probably never tried this. But there's a cool little trick you can do with Super Cruise Assist to effectively drop in at really fast speeds. So now that I'm in Super Cruise, I want to go to Lyle Port here. I'm going to activate Super Cruise Assist. And a lot of you might do something like this, where you just point your nose at Lyle Port and you just kind of wait. Don't do this, because it actually, as you can see in the bottom right there, is lowering my throttle much lower than the max for some reason. We are so far away, there's no reason to be slowing down. Super Cruise Assist just slows down. So what you can do is slip in and out of this. It's actually very easy, very straightforward, and it speeds up a lot of time. So I'm at throttle, I could now wait until I am closer, and then at around 7 seconds, slip back in to drop. But because we do live in the era of Super Cruise, I'm actually going to go a lot quicker than that. If you're not using an SCO drive, please use it. Now everybody knows slowing down to actually do a drop is kind of annoying in this game, but you can drop in at much quicker speeds than you may think because of Super Cruise Assist. So I'm going to speed up right towards this. Everyone knows about the 7-second rule, but I'm not going to follow the 7-second rule. I'm thinking more like the 3-second rule in this circumstance. Because of Super Cruise Assist, if we maintain our pointed nose at the Lyle Port, it will auto drop us. Now, the max speed you can perform a overspeed in is not something that I know off the top of my head. You can be going pretty fast, and the mechanic has moved a bit. You used to be able to hot drop or overspeed at like 0.2 C, which is really fast. I don't think you can do it at that speed anymore. So if you do manage to do it at that speed, then congratulations. I can't. Under the ship tab here, in flight assist on the right side panel, you can actually mess with the way the throttle works here. You can make it so it's manual if it's more comfortable for you that way. Look into customizing your Super Cruise Assist. It can save a lot of time and learn how its mechanics work. So this next tip is going to be a pretty quick one, but is going to be very helpful for those of you that have no idea this is here. So we're obviously all very frustrated with engineering, even though it's been buffed many times and had many changes. It's kind of hard. Well, for the Odyssey players amongst us, we have a particularly nice feature in the game. So in any starport and a lot of stations, even ground stations, there is a Pioneer's Supply Shop. Now, fun fact about Pioneer Supplies. If I was to enter this one right here and browse the stock and click on suits, there's a pre-engineered suit right here. You can find pre-engineered Odyssey gear up to grade 3, really anywhere in the galaxy. And this suit actually also has an extra modification on it, a damage resistance one, which ups, well, the damage resistance basically everywhere here. This is actually a pretty nice suit, to be honest, and it's worth buying. There's also a pre-engineered weapon in here. It doesn't have anything special on it, but it's a grade 2 Manticore Executioner. There's really no reason not to look around here. I would recommend, like, maybe if you're just passing through a system, you're already walking around the pilot's lounge, just take a look real quick at the Pioneer Supplies. You might find something in there for a couple million that'll go a long way. Fun fact, my Odyssey gear that I'm wearing right now, virtually everything I use, in fact, is pre-engineered shop gear I found just going around shopping, basically. So, you know, it's a bit boring, but if you find yourself just walking around, by all means, take a quick look at the Pioneer Supplies and you'll find yourself possibly some good gear. Now, a quick important note is, let's say I did buy that, weapon or that suit. I'm not going to, because it'll disappear. The stock is limited, but only for a certain amount of time. Every server maintenance tick, every Thursday, replenishes these stocks. So if you go online and find certain spots with pre-engineered gear in them and notice that the pre-engineered gear isn't there, like the post or whatever you may be looking at claims, it's because somebody else got there before you did. Just wait for the server tick and you can come back. Now, some places that offer particularly high grade experimental gear, well, the thing is people kind of line up for them and will kind of snipe their stock. So you can see if that happened to this place if you want. If you want to come and buy this gear, you can. It's in the Yakumu system, in the only major starport they have. So you can come and buy these if you want. So for this next tip, I want to teach you a little something about crime. I am now wanted for murder. For those that are unaware, there is a difference between a bounty and a fine. A fine is a minor infraction that you can just pay off in the place you had it issued from. But a bounty is a bit different. When you commit a violent crime, the bounty that you receive is essentially a legal kill warrant. People can kill you and you will not be defended by security forces. In fact, when you're spotted by security forces, you will be targeted. But notice, I'm wanted in a lot of different places, but in this star system, for some reason, I'm not wanted here in these two places, or in this place here, or in these three places down here for some reason. Why is that? Well, if we were to click on these guys, we would notice that they are allied or kind of owned by a government called the Confederacy of Devada Baru. But if I scroll down by one, these guys are not. They're owned by the Yakamu Resistance, which I probably just horribly mispronounced. But the key thing to understand about crime is it functions kind of off of the BGS, or the background game simulation. Now, I'm not going to go too horribly heavy into this because it's kind of its own thing and it's very complicated. So if we were to go to the system map here, go into the Factions tab and click on this top one, we'll see that these guys own a whole lot of territory in the system. They own a bunch of ports, settlements, and stations and stuff, because they are the biggest government here. And because I committed the crime against these guys, I'm wanted in these areas specifically. Now, because they are the biggest controlling faction, a lot of the system security around the system is theirs. So I'm kind of in more danger, but if I were to go to, well, the Resistance, in their territory, they don't care as much that I committed a crime. I am in a little bit less danger here. If you do land somewhere with a bounty, especially if it's local, and you go to pay it off, you will be escorted to a prison ship. Well, what if I told you, you actually don't have to go to prison for committing a crime? Well, this is where a website called Inara is going to come in. I'm going to head back to the galaxy map here, and I'm going to copy the name of the star system that I'm in. This place is called Yakumu, as you could probably guess. And if we go into Inara and click search nearest, type in our star system and fill it in the station services, we can type interstellar factors. Now, interstellar factors are pretty cool, but in this case, real quick, to pay off a bounty, I'm actually going to go somewhere where bounties don't really matter. Anarchy factions. So if I go ahead and click government and click anarchy, then hit search. Now I'm actually going to exclude surface stations because I don't want to land on a planet to do this. I will see a whole bunch of options near me to pay my bounty off effectively without going to jail. So instead of getting transported to a ship that's like 150 light years away, I'm only going to have to go like 15 or, 39 if I need to land in a big place, unless I do go to a surface port. So we're going to copy this system name. All right, so now that we're here, I'm going to open the Starport services, and I'm going to enter contacts where we can see two different interstellar factors. The mercenary facilities, and this is where it becomes useful outside of crimes, lets us redeem any combat bond that we've earned anywhere instead of having to go to your local administration. Now, the thing is you will receive a 25% reduction in payout, but that's the convenience for redeeming them anywhere. The legal facilities offers a similar thing, where we can redeem bounty vouchers for a 25% reduction in payout, or we can pay off our bounties for a 25% increase in cost. Now you may notice that this is all grayed out for me. And if it's grayed out for you, that means your notoriety is currently too high, as it says. Now, what is notoriety? It's a system that effectively marks you as a dangerous person. As you can see at the bottom of my right side panel on the home tab, I have 1 notoriety right now. So, because I have notoriety, I can't pay off my bounty. And just generally, the NPCs are going to regard me as more dangerous. Now, how do you get rid of notoriety? Well, you just wait, basically. For every point of notoriety you have, you wait 2 hours. So at notoriety 1, you wait 2 hours. Another 2 hours is added on top if you're at notoriety 2. The max you can be is notoriety 10. So as you can imagine, if you go on a big crime spree, you might have to wait a while before you aren't notorious anymore. What makes this particularly rough is this is in-game time. So my game has to be running for 2 entire hours to get rid of the notoriety stat. Now, of course, if you do want to get rid of the bounty, you can do it the old-fashioned way and hand yourself in at a port, and you will get taken back as long as it's within the territory that you committed the crime. Now, if you do want to get away with having some notoriety while landing at places without getting shot up, there's a couple ways you can do that. Number 1 is using heat sinks, which I actually don't have one on me right now, but if you use a heat sink and slam your heat down to 0, your heat signature is masked, which means NPCs can't scan you and you can't be seen, basically. They won't find out that you have a crime. Now, you will still have some debuffs because you have notoriety on you, and the game wants to punish that in some ways. But if you do have a bounty and stuff like that on you, and you don't have heat sinks, you can actually also use silent running, which will shut your shield down, but also masks the heat of your ship in every way, which also means the heat will rise because effectively all the heat vents on your ship closed. That's, I guess, a bonus tip for you is detection in this game functions off of heat. So if you ever want to be a harder time to hit or want to get away with some crimes and still land at places, well, you can just mask your heat signature and that'll go a long way. Now, quick note as well, if you're doing power play and you do power kills, you will receive bounties by the superpower that those power kills belong to, but you won't receive notoriety. I don't know why that is, probably just because it'd be really annoying if power play constantly got you flooded up to notoriety 10. And you also will receive a different kind of bounty. Bounties placed by superpowers are a bit different than bounties placed by normal factions, but you can pay them off and get rid of them in the exact same way that I showed you in this video. So no worries there. Thank you so much for watching this tips video. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. And if you didn't, I'm sorry to hear about that. Regardless though, thank you for sticking around, and I hope to see you around here next time. Bye-bye.